what is the furor all about, Preeti? Then is this actually nautanki before elections?
Okay, no, Gaurav, what your opening remarks were, right? That bogus voting allegedly has been happening by politicians, what you said, of
to stop
bogus voting, which many politicians allege have been happening by burqa-clad women and women in Ghungats. Was the word Ghunghat mentioned by the Election Commission? Absolutely not. See, when you are sitting in newsrooms, it's very benign that the Election Commission has made what seems to be perfect protocol and SOP, that why shouldn't a woman whose whose face is covered, veiled, not be allowed or should not be checked, verified, right? It sounds, this is, should be definitely, I would want every person who is going in to vote be verified. Why should Muslim women, just because they are wearing a burqa, not go through that same process? So it sounds very benign. It sounds it's going by the SOP and it's going by the rules, right? But look at it now in a broader context. Because also on a subtext to it, did the Election Commission mention, because like in states of Rajasthan, like Rajasthan, Haryana, there are lots of women in Bihar also who might not cover their faces because they are Muslims, but wear the Ghunghat and cover their faces.
Okay.
Was that also mentioned? That wasn't mentioned. So therefore, the political interpretation of this is clearly dog whistling, right?
Oh, you see this as dog whistling?
I don't see,
okay.
no, one second, hear me out. I don't see the EC's dog whistling. What is it happening in the backdrop of an SIR, where what was the biggest fear? That there will be disenfranchisement of a lot of Muslim votes.
But wasn't that fear-mongering again?
Hear me out. Go all the way to 2024, where you had West UP, where you had portions of East UP, where multiple women came out with the same charge that we were not allowed to vote. A lot of these women come from not as privileged backgrounds like us, right? They are not as educated like most of us.
Okay.
So this somewhere down the line also gets in a barrier where they won't even come out, which is a deterrent to vote, which goes against what the EC is supposed to do all along. But
so
by the way,
are we saying unless if Muslim women are asked to show their identity cards, asked to show their face, they feel scared, they will not vote?
No, because there is context to it, Gaurav. It happened, no. There are multiple women who came out in Sambal, who came out in Western UP and said that we were not allowed to vote, right? There were multiple women who came out in Eastern UP in 24 that we were not allowed to vote under the garb of identification. Let me just finish, right? Now, in midst of all of this, now you have fears of disenfranchisement where one Muslim community is concerned. You have fear of disenfranchisement at the back of 2024 elections. Then, you're not even mentioning women who wear the Ghunghat at all. So therefore, in this context, somewhere down the line, it is going to be viewed as possible dog whistling. Why? Because protocol, as per protocol, it's already being followed. All these women who go into a booth, did the EC need to verbalize something which was already happening?
There is a question that has been asked. There's a question that's been asked. There's a fear that's been raised by a political leader in the past. But Siddharth, you wanted to come in.
Which
you
political
wanted to come in. Bihar BJP chief raised this
exactly.
issue.
So therefore,
there's a difference between a political party and the constitutional body.
Is this fear-mongering?
It's all right for political parties to raise these concerns because that's part of democratic exercise in which you level charges, they're counter charges. That's all right. That's the duty or responsibility of political party. They will create that narrative.
Sure.
But what about the constitutional body called Election Commission?
No, but are we now saying कि अगर किसी मुसलमान महिला को बोला आइडेंटिटी कार्ड दिखाओ तो बोलेंगे ओहो मैं डर गई मैं वोट नहीं डाल पाऊंगी.
So let's stick to the legal facts. In 2006, the Madras High Court gave a judgment which was subsequently referenced, upheld and further elaborated by a 2010 judgment of the Supreme Court that made it clear that burqa has to be checked and verified as far as identity is concerned. Now let's step back for a moment. The voter ID card also has a photograph. Even that has been debated and ruled upon that unless you provide your photograph, regardless of your religion or gender, you cannot be issued a voter e-pic, the card. Now let's come to the point between Ghunghat and burqa. The Court of India, the Supreme Court of India has upheld the burqa as part of an essential religious practice. The courts have repeatedly clarified and elaborated. the Ghunghat is not considered as a mandated statutory requirement of Hindu faith or practice.
Fair enough.
It is a tradition which is prevalent in communities, but it is not held at the same par of religious belief that the court has held the burqa to be. Therefore, it is very clear that there cannot be any argument against the Election Commission's move to buttress this. Now, we can quibble about the language, timing, the politics. The law of the land,
Yes.
including Election Commission rules, guidelines and norms, and the Supreme Court have made it
But
clear.
Siddharth, are
Let
you
me just
saying-
finish that
please
point.
finish.
Let me just finish that point. That if you want to vote, which is a statutory right, it is not a fundamental right, then you have to both provide your
right.
photograph
But
in your
Siddharth,
iCard
coming back,
and you have to show your face.
Siddharth,
Okay.
Everybody, but the
allow me to
quibbles-
ask you a question.
Yes,
But
yes,
the
yes, yes,
quibbles
Geeta.
are
Allow me
is
to
about
ask-
the timing, and it is also about the fact that you're singling out a community and that there are other communities who follow Parda
No, I'm going to ask the same question.
That is
That
your
has to be
supposition that
It's not
somebody is being...
supposition. It's not supposition. I'll tell you
It's
why it's not
not
a
perception.
supposition.
I come from Kashmir, by the way, Geeta. I come from
Yes.
Kashmir,
This
point
would
and
not
that
have come
law
up.
has
Okay,
been
all
upheld.
right.
Thankfully,
Siddharth, if we
it
are going
took
to
us
get
3
into where we
decades
come
to
from,
get elections
Siddharth,
there.
if we are going to get into where we come from, I come from Haryana, where 80% of the women are in Parda. Now, they are not Muslims. There are Jat women. There are Hindu women in Parda. It might not have been recognized as a right. Might not have been recognized as a right of part of their religion
object
to
while
do so.
voting?
But
Really?
a
You
lot
are
of
claiming
them.
to speak on behalf of
No,
millions of
one
women.
second.
Do they object? Show
You know,
me a
Siddharth,
case
the
of
fact is-
objection.
Siddharth,
As soon as
one
she completes her
second.
point.
Siddharth, the fact
Show me
is-
a case
Siddharth,
filed. Show me a
Siddharth,
case filed
the
by a
fact
Ghungat
is,
or a
you,
Parda
you like to
Hindu
complete
woman.
you like to complete your point without any interjection, but you'll turn around and interrupt somebody who's trying to make the same
Yeah, yeah,
point.
okay. One by one.
So let me
Allow
come
me to
in.
moderate.
No.
And
It's
I
not
get to
about
use this.
moderating. Allow me to come in. So the
Preeti.
fact is, a lot of women do vote in Haryana, in Rajasthan, lots of parts of Madhya Pradesh where they are in Ghungat, Siddharth, and they are not asked to lift their veil or to see who's there. A lot of times it happens.
Okay.
A lot of times it happens. It's easy
I have
to
to
sit.
bring in Geeta.
It's easy to sit in
Okay,
studio.
okay, Geeta,
There is so much to rebut, but I...
No, no, no.
There is so
I
much
want
to
to
rebut.
rebut.
I was
Because
making
you
the
are
exact same point.
you are conflating your perceptions versus fact and
It's not
law.
perception.
This is not
The
perception.
Ghungat
Okay,
and
now
the
let's
Parda is
complete
not
the point.
equated with the burqa in law. It is different. We shouldn't even be talking about the opacity of the veil, the cloth, what is defined. What are we saying? We can't conflate these two things. Practice of a Ghungat. Are we saying that there has been a court case where a Ghungat-dari woman has said, sorry, I will not lift the Ghungat to vote? Who has filed these cases?
Because they've not been stopped. Because they've not been stopped. Because they have not been stopped.
But can I just intervene? Can I intervene for one instance and